My ex-husband's new wife called me 3 weeks ago and said she just realised her daughter's birthday was on my week. She asked me to please bring my son to the party or drop him off the night before and they'd bring him back the following day. She was very entitled about it. She presented me with 2 options when I didn't have to do either. I said I would think about it and she got huffy and said that he had to be at his little sister's party. I said I would think about it and she continued to argue, so I hung up. Finally, the day before the party, I asked my son, "Do you want to go to Sister's Name's birthday party?" He said he did, so I texted her to tell her we'd be there and asked her about the time of the party. She told me it was at noon, so we got there at 12:30 and there were no other cars, which was weird. When we went inside, my ex said he needed to talk to me, and I said that wasn't necessary and asked where the party guests were. He said he needed to prepare me before I saw his wife. I said, "Why, is she pregnant or something?" He said she was, and I just rolled my eyes. I again asked where the party guests were. He said the party was at 2, but they wanted to ensure I had time to put myself together before the party. I told him he needed to quit the soap opera drama because I didn't have time for it. I took time out of my day to accommodate them, but they blew it. I'm not hanging out with them in an empty house for over an hour, and I'm not wasting gas to leave and return. I took my son to the park and we had a nice day, but my ex texted me a bunch about how I was punishing his daughter for his wife's pregnancy. I don't care that his wife is pregnant. My only response was a text that said, "Grow up." My son asked about his sister's birthday and I said there was a mix-up with the party time, which was true, and his dad's family, and he will all celebrate together when he's at his dad's next time, so he was chill. My mom said I hurt the birthday girl, but she's a toddler. She's not going to notice who's at her party. My mom told me to be the bigger person, but I feel there's a limit to that. I wouldn't reward the lying and trickery my ex did any more than I would reward it if my young son did it. Am I the idiot for leaving the birthday party and not coming back? So wait, your ex intentionally kept the actual time from you so you would show up early, and all that just so he can tell you about the pregnancy in person and give you time to put yourself together afterward as if it's some life-shattering news to you. What? Heck no, you are not the idiot. He really seems to love drama. I'd like to know what kind of reaction they wanted. You sobbing on the floor while they can be the bigger person and comfort you, and later they will tell everyone how hard it hit you and how nice they are for being there for you. Whatever weird kind of dream they had about this did not work. They could have been normal and told you the actual time. It was already nice of you to bring your son during your parenting time. I would have told them they could drive if they wanted him to join during your time. People don't get to blame the victim of a failed trap for not falling for the trap. They messed around and found out. They were trying to create drama. Who wants to go to their ex's house and sit for 2 hours? This is on them. If they were so concerned about your reaction, they could have told you at any time before the party. Instead, orchestrating a plan for you to show up and have time to feel your feelings, you took your kid to the park and had some fun. I say good for you. I think the ex actually wanted to hurt her versus somehow protect her. Seems like he wanted to see her be emotional and upset. If someone was trying to spare feelings, they'd text about it beforehand and let OP process it on her own. Hence, the joke's on them since OP clearly doesn't give a damn about it. Yep, they lied and manipulated you. If you have a legal custody agreement, stick to it. Maybe get one of those apps that are court-approved for the contact between parents. Tell your mother that sometimes being the bigger person allows bullies to continue to be bullies. Don't allow toxicity into your life. This whole thing is exhausting. You're all idiots and must learn to behave appropriately to put your child before everything else. This isn't about you and your ex. It's about your child. You both need to be more accommodating. At one point or another in the next 12 plus years, you'll both need favors from each other for your child. Figure out how to be peaceful for the child. It's not about you. My ex and I have 2 children together. We do it for the kids, not us. You don't have to be friends, but you'll both get better results, and life will be easier being nice and doing things you don't have to do. I work in a field that operates very closely with the field of law. My degree is a dual degree in law and business, and I work with actual lawyers and deal with legality issues daily. Also, because of the classes I took in uni and the friend circles I ran in, I know many lawyers all over the legal profession, including guys in the prosecutor's office, divorce attorneys, corporate lawyers whom I work with, and so on. There was a family dinner recently and my niece was talking about uni subject options for next year. I really struggled to choose between biosciences, psychology, business, and law, so I was really interested in what she was going to choose. She said she was struggling between doing biosciences and then grad entry medicine or law. I struggled with the same issue. I didn't get the grades for undergrad medicine, by the way, and neither did she. One thing that I got concerned over, though, is how she thinks the legal profession works. She was talking about how cool it is to tackle super unique cases every day and how she would love earning massive amounts of money while doing it. She mentioned that she thought it was like Suits but a bit less cinematic. This is where I stepped in and explained how the legal field really works and the pros and cons of working in it. The minute I started talking about the cons, though, after the pros obviously, my sister begins glaring at me, and I broke the concept that lawyers work super unique, on the feet, exciting cases all the time. They typically are specialised, so they deal in the same kind of case, not that that is boring. They mostly spend their time reading through contracts or drafting them in the corporate field, which is what is in Suits. The amount of time they spend at trial is ridiculously short compared to how long they spend preparing for it, but also ridiculously long too, as trials can last months. Basically, my niece then starts screaming at me how she knows more about the legal profession than I do, and I don't know crap about law, and how I'm trying to mansplain her own profession to her, even though she's never worked or met a lawyer before. I decided it was best to leave. I no longer stay in places I'm yelled at anymore. My sister called me and told me I had no right to explain something I had no idea about, and that I was a typical man trying to tear down a young girl's dream of being a powerful woman in a high-level profession. Am I the idiot? Well, actually, but no, that wasn't mansplaining, as in telling a woman things she already knows in a condescending tone. That was explaining to an inexperienced person with unrealistic expectations that the world doesn't perform like TV. You didn't tell her not to be a lawyer, you told her what being a lawyer is like. Boy, I didn't think the definition of mansplaining could get even more diluted, but here we are, LOL. You are offering your experience in your field to someone not in the field. She should know what she's going in for. You explained it to her. You did nothing wrong and shouldn't have been yelled at for that. Let her find out the hard way. Lawyer and woman here, and not the idiot. Also, this is not mansplaining. First, just because a man is explaining something, that does not make it mansplaining. Second, I've had this very conversation with undergrads looking into being a lawyer. While I referenced a different TV show, I said almost exactly what you did. I've been licensed for almost 25 years, and I can tell you without reservation that being a lawyer isn't really about arguing or doing cool, exciting crap, and I've done both litigation and in-house corporate work. Much of it is interesting if that's what you like. Yep, I'm a nerd, so I like it. But it's not revealing or showy. As one colleague and I decided once, we're basically attack librarians. I will preface this by saying that my mother treated my sister and me differently. I was always less than her and she could do no wrong. But she'd always buy my sister everything she wanted while I wore her hand-me-downs. I moved out at 18, worked through college, went no contact with my mom and low contact with my sister, and our paths diverged significantly from there. I now work in a field that pays well while she's a stay-at-home mom. I guess I never quite got over this, and while I know the main idiot is my mother and my sister didn't know any better, I still foster negative feelings towards both of them. I found Tom in a bag as a newborn kitten. He was the only one still alive, and I raised him over summer break when I was 13. Then, when school started, my mother got rid of him, and I had to go to great and extreme lengths to find out where she dumped him. Took me a week to find him, and we've been together ever since. For a few months, Tom hasn't really been okay and has been slowly declining. The vet, however, based on our recent blood panel, was confident that he still has some life left to live and said that he's by far the healthiest geriatric cat she's seen in a while. Thus, we decided to try out surgery to improve his quality of life, even though he's 21. This surgery comes with a price tag. I'm not in the US, but it's around 3 months' worth of minimum wage in my country. It won't set us back much, hardly an inconvenience, but we'll be frugal just in case complications happen. He's scheduled for Monday, fingers crossed. Anyway, my sister dropped by on Sunday, which was strange. We haven't spoken since she messaged me a Merry Christmas gif on Facebook. Looks like her husband jumped onto the NFT bandwagon and they're broke and a few months behind on the mortgage, and asked if I could help her out with the payments since they're at risk of becoming homeless. I said I was sorry she was going through this, but this wasn't a good time for me either, and I listed the reasons above. I do not want to ever be in a situation where my cat's life depends on $100 that I cannot afford to pay. I suggested she get a job and maybe downsize or move in with our mother while they get back up on their feet. She didn't take this well, called me names and a crazy cat lady that's going to end up alone, plus some other nice words. I kicked her out. My mother and other relatives have been spamming me throughout the week for being heartless and caring more about an animal than my own flesh and blood. My husband says I could have just given her some cash to avoid the drama, and he's right. I could have. This is why I feel like I might be the idiot. In the end, the main reason I chose not to help was due to my childhood baggage. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. My mother and relatives have been spamming me for being heartless and caring more about an animal than my own flesh and blood. There is a reason why you go low contact with a lot of your family. They all think they're entitled to your help. Also, what's stopping your mom and these other family members from helping your sister out? OP, block these people and go no contact with your sister. You have something going on that requires a lot of money. You can't afford to pay your sister's mortgage simultaneously. You offered multiple solutions on how they can get out of the mess they've made, and none of that was good enough. Their mistakes are not yours to fix. Pro tip: no is a complete sentence. Bonus pro tip: life is hard enough. Don't pick up baggage that's not yours. Funny how family members only come out of the woodwork when they need money. You don't owe them anything and your sister can get a job. Take care of your cat. He was there for you and you should be there for him. I, male 52, was with my ex for 5 years and married for 3 of those. She, 43, had 2 children from a previous relationship. She was receiving child support from her ex and we only married after she stopped getting alimony. Her kids were part of my life from ages 10 to 14. We were on good terms, but they had a father, and they were on good terms with him, as it should be. They were civil and well behaved when they spent time with us. I've never had kids and did never plan on having kids, so it was a new experience for me. It was interesting, but I was happy I dealt with them when they were already partly grown. My relationship with their mom didn't last, unfortunately. It might have been better if we hadn't gone from having fairly independent lives for our first year of marriage to being locked into our house together 24/7 for the next 2 years. We divorced 2 years ago. We were older when we met and we both had careers, so we had a prenup. I kept the house that I owned before we married and she got some money from the retirement fund we set up. We are from a small town outside a big city, so we saw each other every once in a while at the grocery store or social events. The older kid is starting college this September. I remember helping them plan out their high school AP classes and talking about them getting a car if they wanted to drive from town to a train station for school. It never happened. I never got them a car. Now they're starting college and I saw my ex-stepdaughter and she asked if I was still planning on helping her out. I said no, my help was kind of contingent on me being in a relationship with their mom. She got upset and said that the help she got from her father was independent of his relationship with her mom. I did not want to have this conversation or explain to an 18-year-old girl exactly why I wasn't willing to drop a few $1,000s on a kid I had no real connection to. I'd only seen her 6 or 7 times since the divorce. Then my ex called me up and said I was an idiot for going back on a promise to her daughter. I couldn't believe I had to explain to her why I didn't owe her kid anything. Am I the idiot? How does she not understand the difference between her father's responsibility to her versus her mother's ex-husband's responsibility to her? She's 18, not a young child. OP, not your circus, not your monkeys. You are not the idiot. LOL, and the ex is the main attraction in her circus. Also, I'm not sure how this kid will cope in college with reasoning skills like that. OP, you were only together 5 years and the kid's father was involved, so why isn't their dad helping? Your first red flag should have been not marrying you until her alimony ran out. People these days never cease to amaze me. I had this same thought. I also wouldn't be surprised if Mom was telling her that OP would still be helping out. She should be providing for her own child. You are a legal stranger and have no reason to do anything for these kids. How ridiculous. I, female 27, am white and my husband 30 is Mexican. We have an infant who looks exactly like my husband did when he was a baby, but with paler skin. He has the same dark brown curly hair and dark brown eyes. My mom loves my husband and son, and she's always supported our relationship. But recently she's commented about my son looking nothing like me. She says things like, "It's too bad he doesn't look more like you," and "You can't even tell that he's your son." We gave our son a Hispanic name, Mateo, but sometimes we call him Matty. So my mom always says, "You should have just named him Matthew," which is just the white version of his name. So I usually just ignored it until she said, "He already looks Mexican and has a Mexican last name, so the least you could have done is given him a white name." And so I finally snapped. She flipped out and got super defensive. She said she just wanted him to look more like me because I'm beautiful. I told her that my son was perfect the way he was. I understand her wanting my son to look like me, but she specifically said she had a problem with him looking Mexican and having a Mexican name, so I know it's more than that. She just wants him to look white. Am I the idiot for yelling at my mom? Not the idiot, and you're right. Your son is perfect the way he is. Your mother is risking her relationship with her grandson by not appreciating him, and that's nobody's fault but hers. You did the right thing to stick up for your son, and I'm sure your husband also appreciates it. Also, Mateo is a beautiful name. She just wants you to do things the white way. I mean, the right way, haha. Jokes aside, she's definitely the idiot. Also, he's only a baby. There's a lot of growing to do. Who knows what features of yours will look more prominent as he ages? I gave birth to my baby daughter 6 months ago. She looks nothing like me, so I tell people who comment on her looks that my husband cheated and she may not be mine.